What's up, world? Let me tell you about this beard growth oil I got from 12 tribes on Earth. 8 ounces of oily goodness with a nozzle that prevents sprays and spills, and soft ingredients that make it perfect addition to anyone's morning routine. From coconut to castor, all these oils are hand chosen. After using this herbal blend, the biggest thing I noticed is how soft and how strong my hair was, and how good I feel. Pick up your bottle today and make your beard the star of the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, I guess some people doubt what I was saying, but I'm going to show you some examples of articles that are out about their intention is to make Medicaid enrollees become the new farm workers in America. And there are multiple articles out on this, and I'm going to let you listen to a video, but before we get to that, I'm going to show you another article. Okay, here's another article on the same subject matter. So you can see it's being kicked around, and you know how it is. It's the rich, privileged people making the decisions on what poor people in the country is going to do. And I just don't think this is going to go as smoothly as they think. I really don't. And who's to say who's able-bodied and who's not, you know? But this is what they are going to move forward and do, y'all. They're not just talking about this just for the fun of it. They are serious about doing this. So let's get on to the video.
We've got to give the farmers the people they need, but we're not talking amnesty.
That was President Trump talking to his cabinet at the White House about not granting amnesty to undocumented immigrant farm workers. The farm sector had warned that mass deportation of farm workers would disrupt the US food supply. The Trump administration in June signalled that it might pause raids on some farm work sites, but it later reversed course.
Meanwhile, Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins suggested that able-bodied adults on Medicaid can replace deported farm workers. Let's watch.
The promise to America to ensure that we have a 100% American workforce stands, but we must be strategic in how we are implementing the mass deportation so as not to compromise our food supply. Ultimately, the answer on this is automation, also some reform within the current governing structure. And then also when you think about there are 34 million able-bodied adults in our Medicaid program. There are plenty of workers in America, but
Trump's tax cut and spending bill, passed on July 3rd, introduced work requirements for Medicaid. This rule might ultimately end coverage for millions of enrollees who do not meet the new employment or reporting standards. Rollins also emphasised the need to prevent foreign countries from owning farms within the United States. Let's listen to that.
the red states are the ones that are banning the Chinese-owned farmland, and this is true. But I have to believe that even the Democrat governors and even the blue states realize what a massive threat this is to national security and how important it is. So we plan to work with everyone, no matter which party, no matter which side of the aisle they're from, to ensure that the people of this country and our agriculture farmland is protected.
Foreign ownership of farmland, by the way, is something the President and the Secretary of the Interior get to have oversight over anyway. So even if in states where it is not formally banned, the federal government can veto it if a attempted land deal is done. So that's kind of a handled issue, I would say.
Sure.
I support the work requirements for Medicaid
people.
I do not, and if the job they take on is farm worker, that's fine. Unlike our Rising Fridays host, Amber and I were arguing about this on the show that we do, Free Media, yesterday. She wants to deport absolutely everyone who is in the country illegally, no matter how law-abiding otherwise they are. That is not me. I would not meddle with the farm labor sector because I want to keep food prices low. That is the number one demand of voters, is to keep down the price of things. And if you massively interfere with this sector, you will raise prices. I think that would be bad. I think Trump knows that, and his instincts on this are pretty good, and he wants to not do a mass deportation of farm workers. He wants to deport violent criminals, gang-affiliated people, terrorists. That's what he wants to do. Now, but he faces pressure internally from some in MAGA, like Stephen Miller, who wants to deport literally everyone, to go further, and he doesn't want to do that, but he knows a lot of his base does, so he's not going to call it amnesty, but I predict he is going to do something along those lines of leaving them in place and not deporting them, which is what I think would be best for everyone. Better for them, better for us, because we pay less in food prices.
So let me begin with what Brooke Rollins said, which I regard as ludicrous, frankly. The idea that you are going to deport farm workers and get people on Medicaid to then just slide into the farm workers' jobs in some neat, tidy, that's all done and dusted way, I think is absurd. For a start, I think she's capitalizing on a misconception on the right that people on Medicaid are scroungers or malingerers. For a start, the vast majority of able-bodied people on Medicaid work as it is. It is a program that by and large serves people who work low-wage jobs. Now then they have imposed these working requirements for people aged from 19 to 64. Now obviously employment, particularly low-wage employment, which tends to be more manual, gets more difficult, generally speaking, as one gets older. The idea that some 55 or 60-year-old person who is suffering from a chronic disease or diabetes, something that does not make them not able-bodied but is a genuine medical problem, is going to go and start picking fruit in farms in the Deep South is just an absurd suggestion. And I think that it is, the problem is the whole idea of the work requirement is to kick people off Medicaid. The whole reason for that requirement is we can save money on Medicaid so we can give it to very rich people in the Trump tax breaks. So the thing is inequitable to begin with. And this kind of rhetoric is just, I think, glib and pays no attention to just one final point, Robbie. There will have to obviously be verification of these jobs. Georgia is the only state that has a work requirement for Medicaid so far. 90% of the money they've spent on the new program has been spent on administrative costs to determine who's telling the truth and who's not, or what the paperwork is like. So it's inefficient, it's inequitable. I don't like it, as you might have noticed.
You don't like it. Well, but you agree with me, I'm sure, on not deporting the farm laborers in the first place, however, so then we wouldn't even come to that.
It wouldn't even come to that, but it would if Brooke Rollins' wishes come true.
You know, if this is what they want, so in a sense, that means anybody on Medicaid is working off a debt for being on Medicaid. So everybody on Medicaid is now an indentured servant, because isn't that the definition what an indentured servant is? I'm just saying, y'all. I'm just saying. But tell me what you think about this video. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.